Am I the asshole for not letting my mother-in-law gift my yet-to-be-born daughter her middle name? I, 34F, and my husband, John, 35M, are expecting our daughter in a couple weeks. We're excited and terrified at the same time. This does involve my mill, but I wanted to isolate this one issue. As in, pretend that there isn't a whole history of said mill. Here, Molly, jumping over boundaries like she's one of those buzzed dogs you see in those Westminster agility competitions. John is Molly's eldest child. He has 2 sisters. This will be our first child, and Molly, FIL's first grandchild. I didn't have an elaborate baby shower, and for reasons I won't get into, it was mostly with my side of the family, a few friends. Molly did attend briefly and gave me a nice seat thingy. Forgive me, I'm not even new at this yet. Very recently, Molly threw me a celebration. She told me it was not a baby shower, it was more like a tea party with her side of the family. I said okay, whatever. I thought it was an attempt to make up for the baby shower shenanigans. So by this time, John and I had chosen to name our daughter, and this is a pseudonym, Daisy May. We loved how the names clicked together. Daisy was on both our lists, and May, well, this is kind of stupid. When I was little, I loved the name May. I named my dolls May, would write stories about May, chose that as my pretend name, etc. It's silly, but I like connecting that girlhood part of me to my daughter. John loved the idea too. We were going to keep the name secret, but John leaked the first name to his mom, so I had to tell mine. The man keeps lawyer-client secrets like a vault but can't help but exclaim, "Oh, it'll be so cool for Daisy," in front of his mother. We asked them to keep it close. Well, at this tea party, Molly gave me a large wrapped gift box along with a speech about how it's a tradition in John's family that if the eldest son has daughters, the grandmother of those daughters gifts them their middle names. Excuse me, what? I'm surrounded by like 50 women and they're all nodding Stepfordly. I don't have the spoons for this, so I just open the box. There are a bunch of blankets and stuff with Daisy Flora embroidered on them. So I guess everyone knows the first name now. I go through the motions to get to the party's end. Molly says that I seem upset. I tell her that John didn't tell me of the tradition and that I want to discuss it with him before saying anything further. Molly was unenthused by my response. I come home with some thoughts. John was flabbergasted. He'd never heard of this tradition but supposes it's possible. I told him that while I respect Molly as family, we made a choice as parents, and I loved that choice. I was insistent. We told Molly no to Flora, and she is beyond upset. Here's the thing. I don't hate her choice. I know I could actually grow to love Daisy Flora. I feel part of me is refusing to adopt the name because of past resentment towards Molly. It's just a middle name after all. I'm so used to establishing boundaries that maybe I don't know when I'm the asshole fencing myself in. ETA. I have since seen some family heirloom things, like this fancy Bible that John's great-grandmother gave to Molly's brother's daughter, her granddaughter, inscribed with something like, "I gift you the middle name Elizabeth, yada yada," and some other fancy, Ancestry.com stuff, so I think it's a legit tradition. A weird one, but legit. Last ETA. From posting this and reading all your insightful, and sometimes downright hilarious, comments, it really made me think about the turn of events. So, I decided to speak with my one decent Sil. She told me, in a whisper that had me feeling like she thought the CIA was tapping the phone, that Molly had expected us to announce the pregnancy at one of the family dinners, don't ask, as was usually done, where Molly would have certainly informed us of the tradition. Maybe by a herald. Or Princess Catherine. However, since we did the unforgivable thing of inviting all parents and siblings over for an informal brunch at our home to announce, she did not have the occasion to do so. Moreover, since Molly felt her family was not adequately involved in the baby shower or baby preparation events and lack thereof, she did not feel as though there was an appropriate time and place to announce the tradition and the naming gift other than at the tea party. That she had to plan herself. And fit in at the last minute. All of this is my fault. Apparently her whole family sympathizes. John still swears he never heard of this. I can't with this man of mine. Also, 2 middle names are not acceptable. This was brought up during the conversation where we told her no to Flora. Her exact reasoning and logic were not available at that time. Not the asshole. You were blindsided, and if John wasn't even aware of this tradition, I'm going to call BS. No one gets to name your baby but you and John. Let her clutch her pearls. You showed up under the guise of a tea party. What she did to you, and John, was out of line. Tell her about your family tradition where the parents name the baby whatever they damn well please and the father's side pays for daycare and college. It's the equivalent of the very public proposal to manipulate and guilt-trip you, while she looks thoughtful. How about, I've never heard of that tradition before, such a shame we didn't know about it before we chose a name, or we may have considered it. Smile and exit. Not the asshole she could have discussed this tradition with you instead of throwing a party and proceeding to tell the name she was supposed to keep secret to everyone's sad face. From my perspective it feels like she was trying to guilt-trap you into accepting the name she chose. You did nothing wrong, it's your baby so it's your choice. Not the asshole. She tried to railroad your kid's name. Height of presumption. You win. Am I the asshole for defending my kids against their dad? I, 39F, have 2 kids, 6 and 9, with my significant other, 47M. We have passes to a local amusement park and have been going twice a week since they opened. My husband likes to try every ride in the amusement park at least once, and this year the park added 2 new rides. He has been looking forward to going on both of them for some time. One ride is in the general park, while the other is situated in the kids area. My kids don't like fast rides. The 6-year-old just broke her wrist yesterday and is in an arm cast. My other child just dislikes fast rides and gets anxiety leading up to going on them so avoids them altogether lately. Today, we got to the new ride in the kids area and adults must be accompanied by a child in order to ride. My husband asked both girls if they would ride with him and they both declined. The new ride is a smaller roller coaster and while it doesn't look to be super fast, it does have a few small hills and twists. He was practically begging one of them to go with him but they both held their ground. Now he is pissed. He has called them selfish and has told them that if they don't want to do the things he wants to do, he will stop doing the things they like to do. He repeated it several times and is visibly pissed. My oldest was upset and stopped talking. My youngest was crying saying, "How can you expect someone with a broken wrist to go on fast rides?" He took it personally and kept repeating how selfish they were, how he needs to correct their behavior, etc. I tried to hold my tongue until we got home but had to interject because he was becoming mean. We had gotten a pop and the 6-year-old was thirsty. She asked for a sip and he said no, she could wait 20 minutes until we got home and could have water. At home he went upstairs and lay in bed with his back to the door. The kids got ready for bed and the youngest asked where her dad was. I told her he must have fallen asleep. Usually he hugs and kisses them before bed. The oldest didn't want hugs from him tonight. Finally I heard him get up. He came to their rooms and said good night and just started to walk away. I made a comment about how ridiculous he was being and he just glared. Then the youngest said to him that, kids should choose if they want to go on rides or not, and tonight they didn't want to go on that ride. Then he went off again about how selfish they had acted and he was only asking for one simple request but now that he didn't get what he wanted, he will not give them what they want. I snapped and told him that the youngest just broke her arm and didn't want to go on a fast ride with a cast on, and the oldest doesn't like the anxiety felt before going on fast ride, and hates the feeling on the ride. I said he is acting ridiculous and to grow TF up. I know he will say something to me later about how I don't have his back but to me this is ridiculous. Should I have backed him up? Edit. Just to clarify a couple things. 1. He is not normally like this, hence my shock at it all resulting in this post. 2. This all happened within a period of about 10 minutes at the end of our trip so I didn't let this abuse go on for the full day. It was literally minutes before I interjected. However, I do agree that even those minutes were just too much and I should have shut it down right from the start. 3. I did give my child the drink in the car after he said no. She was thirsty and it's insane to withhold a drink from a thirsty child. I couldn't post all details on the original post due to character limits. Not the asshole. The only selfish person here is your partner. He's behaving like a child. Throwing a tantrum, threatening to not do things his kids like if they won't go on a damn ride? Both of your kids had perfectly legitimate reasons to not want to go, and he kept pressuring them like he was at best a teenager. My only question is this: why the hell did you wait so long to back your kids up? You should have been shutting that mess down as soon as he started pressuring them. They're way too young to let their father lean on them like that. OMG, this is the most alarming one I've read in a while. Your husband sucks. Not the asshole. But I honestly think you should have defended them sooner. He's a huge AH. Not the a-hole. Your husband need to do some internal development. Your kids set a boundary and he repeatedly trampled on them and tried to gaslight them into caving into his desires to go on a new ride. You did the right thing by supporting your kids on this. What the fuck did I just read? Am I the asshole for telling my mill if my husband's baby mama goes on vacation with us then I will not go? Alright, so I'm not gonna say much backstory besides my husband, John, fake names, has a 6-year-old daughter, Sophie, from a previous relationship. He was with her mom Emma from when they were 14 till 19. They had Sophie when they were 18 and they weren't together, but they were messing around until I came along. I have been with my husband for almost 4 years and we have been married for a year with a 9-Malio daughter and I'm currently 15 weeks pregnant with another daughter. I love Sophie to death, I really do. I view her as my own and treat her like so, which has been perfectly okay and completely encouraged by my in-laws, and husband and me and Sophie have an amazing bond. This Christmas we are supposed to be going to California to go visit my extended in-laws with Sophie, my 2 daughters, my Mill, Phil, Sil, and 2 Bil, so that the girls can meet their great-grandma and all of their cousins around the same age. The plan is to go there and stay at John's great-grandma's house because she had just moved into a huge house with multiple rooms, and I've been excited and planning this trip for my husband and girls for a while. Well, yesterday I was hanging out with my Mill grocery shopping and she casually mentions that Emma is planning on coming on the trip, but nothing has been set in stone. I ask questions about living arrangements and she's supposed to be staying with all of us in John's great-grandma's house. John knew nothing about this, by the way. I get upset and tell her that I am not okay with that and it feels disrespectful to bring her with us to stay in the same house as John's wife and expect us to act like a happy little family when this is not her family anymore and never will be, and I understand she's Sophie's mom, but that's all she is. Nothing more, nothing less, and if she's going to bring her along then me and my 2 girls won't go. Instantly my Mill snaps at me that I'm a selfish, ungrateful bitch and I have no right to put them in that situation, and she's as much as family as I am, which I do not agree with, and we just argued until she took me home and things have been tense since. I am in no way trying to get in the way of Sophie and Emma's relationship and I'm not trying to replace Emma. We get along now, but there were problems in the past of her not giving John his court-ordered parenting time, which is why I am so adamant about her not coming for Christmas. John has never been allowed to have Sophie for Christmas until this year when we kept threatening court, and so she finally buckled down, and I just don't think it's right for her to impose that way when it's the first year having her. I also think it's straight disrespectful to treat me and her like we are the same. She is John's past. I feel that she is not the one married to John, so she is not part of John's family. So, am I the asshole for telling my Mill if my husband's baby mama goes on vacation with us then I will not go? Edit. My husband fully agrees with me and says he wouldn't be comfortable with her going either, and he will not go either if his mom is going to let her impose on his first Christmas with his daughter and get in the way of his court-ordered parenting time. Edit. Christmas vacation is our court-ordered time. On all odd years we are supposed to get the first half of Christmas break, which is the first 11 days, and that's when the trip is. That's like John asking to go on their trip to Miami this summer with Emma's mom and grandma. It's not right and it's imposing on specific time that was set out for us. Not the asshole. I wonder why your Mill is so lenient with a woman who pretty much screwed over her son by denying him his visit. Not the asshole. I think the ideal response was to basically not react. Speak with John, and if he agreed with you then let him handle his mom. I totally agree with what you said, but it might not have been the best idea to say it at that time. This just screams missing reasons. Not the asshole. Cancel the trip and go on one of your own. Don't tell Mill where. No way I would be going on this trip. Your husband should tell his mom that with all the drama, you guys are just going to make the call to stay home and spend a quiet Christmas with the 3 kids at your own house this year. He needs to also make it clear that he will be turning down future trips with the ex too. I think X doesn't want to give you Sophie for Christmas and is using this trip for this. Am I the asshole for refusing to share a single piece of my mom's art? My parents got married straight out of high school, had me, 25 female, right away and then split up when I was 3. But they stayed close friends till the day my mother died. My dad remarried Anna when I was 7, she had a daughter Eve, 22 female. Then they had our brother Jake, 16 together. Jake was really sick when he was a toddler, so our parents spent a lot of time at the hospital with him and I spent a lot of time at my mom's house. Eve's dad worked weird hours, so my mom was more than happy to take Eve to most of the time. She loved hanging out with kids. My mom was a talented and passionate artist, and she was determined to foster a love of art in us. And she did for both of us, but Eve is far more talented than I am, and her and my mom bonded over their shared love of painting. My mother passed away suddenly this January. I was always extremely close with her, and I was and still am completely devastated. I still can't accept that she's gone forever. I miss her so much. In late April, I finally got up the spirit to start organizing her things. Eve approached me after I mentioned that I was going to my mother's home to sort through some stuff, and she asked me if she could look through my mom's paintings and have a few as a keepsakes because my mother was such an inspiration for her. I don't want to, and I refused. Not the paintings. I'm willing to give her clothes, jewelry, furniture, almost anything, but the paintings and journals are closest things I have left to my mom. There's pieces of her soul in there, it's not just stuff. They're the most personal items she left, and I don't want to let a single one go. Eve got really upset and said she didn't care about any of the other things either, and she didn't think she was asking for that much. She said my mother was an important person in her life and that they had a strong relationship. Eve believes that if my mother would have left her something if she had the opportunity to decide. I still said no, and Eve went to her mom to complain, and now my immediate family is torn on the issue and arguing when we see each other. My dad understands but thinks I can give up one or two. And that I might change my mind in a couple years once the pain isn't so fresh, and I do think that could have happened before, but Eve and Anna are pushing me so hard on it and being passive-aggressive towards me, and I feel completely different about them now. We all used to be close. I understand she wasn't a stranger to my mom, but that's just not enough to me. I think my own grief is bigger, and to ask me for such a personal thing so soon after her death was insensitive. And I'm ever more upset that they don't even see the irony of Eve sending her own living mother after me for my dead mom stuff. My boyfriend wants me to just give her one and repair my family so I stop tormenting myself, but I think I want to stand my ground here, so am I the asshole? And #X200B. And #X200B. Edit. I just want to say this here because I've read a lot of comments about it, but this isn't about jealousy of Eve. I can admit I was a little jealous when I was younger because I had ideas that I couldn't properly get out, and it seemed unfair that they could, but when I got to high school and discovered the medium that worked for me, film, the frustration I felt at not being able to express my creative thoughts properly melted away, and the jealousy went with it. This is fully about what my mother's paintings mean to me. Nah. I don't think this is about the paintings as much as this is about your grieving. Ask for time to grieve and process. Use that time to figure out what your mom would have wanted to do. Ask yourself if it's fair to hold on to all of the pieces of your mom, or whether she'd want you to share with those she was closest to. Not the asshole. I ended up giving away a lot of my dad's things to my brother and his friends out of guilt after he passed away, and I regret it regularly. Though if you're open to it, ask Eve if she would be open to prints of the paintings you could make for her. Maybe also communicate with her, as you said in this post, that the wound is still fresh, and you'll reconsider when time has passed. Not the asshole. You lost your mother. That hurts. Perhaps a compromise would be to have a print made of one of the paintings for your stepsister. Then she gets the art she wants and you don't have to give up the original. Info. How many works of art exist? Actually, fuck that. This is your mom. You're not obligated to give away any of her stuff. I can't believe how horrible everyone is acting when you're the one who suffered this devastating loss. 100% not the asshole. Sorry for your loss, but I deserve a painting. Is the vibe I'm detecting. Fuck all of them. Not the asshole. Eve was not an asshole for asking, but that changed once she began to push, and then involving her own mother and the rest of your family made it so much worse. Had she waited a while and then asked, and then graciously accepted your response, you may have been more likely to consider letting her have a piece when your grief isn't so raw. Now, it's just going to be a sore spot with you from now on.